It's funny, when I was a lot younger, when I was 8 or 9 years old, and I really first became really obsessed with art, it was painting is what I wanted to do. I used to watch these Bob Ragland painting classes on PBS, and he was always teaching you how to draw the human figure, and I just became enamored with still life painting. And so I remember, funny story, went to a hardware store that wasn't too far from where we lived, and I was in there buying all these tinting mediums that were in paint tubes. They looked like paint. I thought they were paint, but they were actually made for refinishing furniture. So the first several paintings I did were actually with this, I guess it's kind of a paint medium, but it really wasn't oil paints. It wasn't really made for making art. But I was always obsessed with painting. It just always seemed to be the medium that felt most natural to me. And when I was working with oil paints, I like the way that the paint feels in the brush. That kind of really creamy type of texture that oil paint has. And so I think just tactically, I just liked everything about it. I just think everything, I don't know, seemed to stimulate my interest, and I liked the outcome of the paintings. I used to draw quite a bit too when I was younger, but for now, or in recent times, I've mostly just been obsessed with painting. And I've been making a few found object artworks as well, incorporating my paintings into them lately, which has been kind of an interesting thing. But they also do have paintings in them, so there seems to always be paintings, no matter what. I like that adaptation. When I was a kid, so when I was, like I say, 8 or 9 years old, when my parents first realized that I had some ability to draw, my mom really became enamored with the idea that I could make art. And I'm not sure that it was because she, at some point in time, made art in her life, or she just loved the idea that, that I was able to draw pretty capably. And at that time, it was not abstraction at all. It was definitely drawing figurative and still life settings and that kind of thing. And she wanted to encourage it so much that she enrolled me in this program called Art Instruction Schools. And they were a company that you would pay a monthly subscription to, and they would mail you an art lesson, and then you would mail the art lesson back to them, and they would grade it, send it back to you with the next art lesson. So you were constantly going through this process of getting these lessons and completing them, and then sending them back in the mail, and then waiting, anticipating your results, getting the next lesson to be able to do. And it was one a month. And so my mom really encouraged me to do that. And I always admired that with her, raising 4 other kids at the time, that she would decide to utilize some of my family's resources to pay the subscription and to give me the opportunity to learn to do art. And so I always felt like that was a very meaningful thing. And then, if I fast forward then to 2018, when I had my equestrian accident, which is really what led to my current painting practice, it was really her, my mom, who said, you should think about going back to drawing and painting while you're recovering from your accident. And that is exactly what I did. And it wasn't that I was intending to create an art career or develop a painting practice that was a serious practice, or call myself an artist, or ever exhibit a piece of artwork. It was really just an exercise, a healing exercise, but it was one that was encouraged by her because of all the idle time I was going to have in recovering from the surgery that I had to have. That really led me back to that childhood love. And it's such a profound thing for me to think about the fact that she was the one that encouraged it when I was a child and made that sacrifice financially to give me that opportunity. And then, decades later, her wisdom to take me right back to that again was really special. And one of the things I love the most is when my mom and dad were able to actually come to my shows after I started exhibiting my art in the recent years. And although she passed away in 2020, she was able to enjoy roughly 2 years of my exhibition career, and was able to come to my first show and would come to the other shows that I would have. And so that, my painting and my artwork, certainly now looking back on it, is like a really cherished part of my relationship with my mom that I really didn't fully probably understand until she had passed away. And then I'm left with this gift to be able to continue doing what I'm doing and thinking about her so much as a result of it. Yeah, so for this exhibition, I want to create, to the extent that I can, a whole new body of work. And the show is called Bound by Light. That's the title of it. And what it really speaks to is just what I feel is my purpose in producing art, which is to really be a positive force. There are times, especially with what's going on in the world today, with 2 major significant wars and a lot of political strife and unrest and division in our own country here. Sometimes I feel compelled to try to do something that's really more statement-oriented in my art. And there are times I even feel kind of guilty that I'm not making some kind of a statement politically with my art. But after thinking about it for a long time and talking to a really dear friend of mine who's also an artist, coming to an understanding that really it's all about what is your intended message, and maybe even the message that you're given to have. And I've always felt that my artwork is optimistic and hopeful. It's meant to certainly create contemplation. So it's not just created to be, we'll say beautiful. That's not really the intention. But it is meant to inspire hope and optimism and truth, and to help a person dig deep within themselves to find those things, hopefully by being inspired by the mark making and the color palette and the textures and layers in my work. And so I just have determined that I really want to own that. And so the idea that I'm bound by light is really a statement about what I believe I'm supposed to be making. And I've gotten into this practice in the last couple of years, predominantly utilizing palette knives in my paintings. And I'm really trying to challenge myself to get back to doing a little bit of brushwork painting, because I really enjoy it. And it was really the beginning of my current practice, was really all about paintbrushes. And so I think a big part of the show is going to be brushwork paintings, and there will inevitably be a significant number of palette knife paintings too, because I just can't seem to put the palette knives down. I really love them as a tool, and I just want to lean into what I think is my purpose. And so, vibrant colors, and hopefully all the hidden messages that seem to show up in my paintings as part of just the expression. So that's what the show is going to be about, and the current body of work is all about.